In this video, we talk about Through the Valley of Shadows after this. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and everything we've experienced will, in the end, have meaning. That's words of Spock during this episode. It follows along with what he said in the last episode, that time is either happened or it's going to happen, but it's not written yet. The only thing we have is the present, and how we act in the present will affect our future. A good place to end the last episode. And as we go into this one, at first glance, it seems to be something of a linking episode to the finale of this season, when they discover what the signals are. We still don't know what the signals are as Discovery goes and looks after the last one, but we find that the signal is over the planet of Boreth, which is a Klingon planet in which the only inhabitants are monks, basically. They are in a monastery defending the artifacts of Kahless. And among those artifacts are time crystals. Now, when they show us the time crystals, the only one we've seen so far was the one in the travel suit that Burnham's mother was traveling in. And we didn't see it in its raw form, and we see it in this episode. It made me think, and I went back all the way to the first episode of season 1, and in the opening credits, they show, in addition to the diagrams of the ship and of a phaser and of the environmental suit, all through this opening montage, and still they show the crystals. They have been teasing us with time crystals from the very first episode. And it's telling us something about where this whole series is going, which is to say, going into time somewhere, and that's going to be the reason that it's all going to tie in so well with the established canon in the original series. In this episode, Pike, in harvesting one of the crystals, has to pay a price, and that price is seeing his future, or at least part of his future, where he is injured in this well-known accident, this radiation leak, in which he rescues a number of cadets, but is then confined to this iron lung wheelchair box that looks kind of like a steam cabinet, and he can only communicate by blinking a light once or twice. So we know that Pike's future is pretty much nailed down once he grabbed the crystal, that it's going to end that way. And there are a couple of things that we can gather from that. First of all, was that he could see what was going to happen before he took the crystal. That he could either go on and try to find another way to save the galaxy, or he could accept his fate as being disabled. And he chose the fate of saving the galaxy for certain, and taking on the future of his condition of where we find him in the menagerie. It shows that Pike is a heroic character. If we didn't know it already, we certainly know it by this. We know that he is noble. He is putting his mission, his duty, above anything personal. And in this case, everything personal. There's some other things that happen during this episode. First of all, we see that the control can occupy more than just Leland. It can go into a number of people, and even made an attempt to get into Burnham. Predictably, that wasn't going to happen. Predictably, Burnham wasn't going to die, neither was Spock. So there was kind of a lack of suspense in that point. So we knew they were going to get back to the ship, And at the very end, where they talk about destroying the ship, we can pretty much be guaranteed that they're not going to destroy the ship. Or if they do, it's going to be returned in a time anomaly. Mainly because we know that CBS has already renewed the show for season 3, and unless they do a Discovery-A, it's not likely that the ship is actually going to blow up. So those are a couple of things in there that I found that were weaknesses in the episode. They're things that obviously cannot happen, and they're doing it just to build suspense, which they're not building much of, honestly. We do find out that the son of Laurel and Vok has grown to adulthood and perhaps into fairly old age from the looks of things, as he is now kind of the primate of the monastery and has been given a name. Even though he was deposited as son of none, he was aware of who sent him there and knew who his father was, and therefore some things that I don't know how he had any way of knowing, he knows. Possibly in the effect of the time crystals being around them, he has gained more knowledge of the universe. He obviously knew Pike was going to have bad news before he grabbed onto the crystals. So my best guess is that these are the Time Lords in the Star Trek universe. They are Klingons on Boreth. So they are guardians of the here and now and before and after and such as that. I have a feeling that they're going to have more of a play in this, because once again they spent a lot of time having this son by Laurel and Vok. He has now gone to adulthood. He is now the main religious figure on Boreth, and he has granted Pike the ability to grab one of these crystals. Now they go back to the ship. I have a feeling that the crystal that Pike grabs itself is going to be something kind of like the dark matter that they took on the ship before. It's made some minor adjustments to the plot, but it hasn't been a major thing. So I'm kind of thinking that that's a diversion. And perhaps the Klingons on Boreth are going to be a major reason that the universe is set back right. That's my guess on this. Other aspects that we've seen, we saw a D7 Klingon ship for the first time. We've seen it in diagram in previous episodes, but they did render it quite well for this particular episode. And we see a little more of the interplay between Ash and Laurel. Kind of an awkward meeting again, although Laurel seems to have made her peace with it. Ash may not have. And also the problems between Culber and Stamets have come back, where they're eating at separate tables and things like this. And Jet Reno comes back. She's obviously been in her quarters for several episodes, and she is now in the mess hall and telling Stamets that he shouldn't just sit there. He should go and fight to get Culber back. And Stamets gets up and leaves, and so she goes after Culber and basically says, I don't care one way or the other, except that I need a good engineer in there that's not distracted by looking longingly at you across tables. So there may be some chance of Culber and Stamets getting back together. We get a little more background on Reno and the fact that she lost her wife during the one of the Klingon raids. So we're learning a little bit more about her. I'm hoping that we see her in the remaining episodes of this season. So that's what I have to say about this. I hope that you enjoyed the episode. I won't say it's the best one. It had quite a few anticlimactic things in it. It was fairly obvious that the Section 31 ship was bait, and it was too coincidental that it would be somebody that Michael had served with, and it was too obvious they were going to get away with it. So I'm a little disappointed in some of the aspects of the episode, but I think it does have some important points that brought it forward. So I'd like to hear what you think now. Please let me know in the comments what your take is on this episode and where you think it's going to lead. And until next time, when the Orville will be back next week, and we'll talk about that too, don't go far.